Cam Skattebo's not going to New York, but he did get one really prestigious honor this week.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCalls for $20 off your first purchase. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. Apologies for the radio silence over the last couple of days. I have been sick as a dog, but good news, we are back. We're better than ever. We have got tons of content to catch you up on. And quite frankly, today is a jam-packed episode, kind of different from what we normally do. We have got to talk about Cam Skattebo not going to New York, but did receive the first team All-American honor. That's going to start off the show. We got to talk about the AP Big 12 awards that came out today. And then there's some transfer updates for you guys, both Sun Devils that are entering the portal, some guys that I think ASU should target, and then positions that we should look at. But we got to start off with this Cam Skattebo drama because, my goodness, is it frustrating. Now, this was something I wanted to tackle on Tuesday, but like I said, sick as a dog. I literally don't even remember Tuesday. I was not up all day long. I was just totally out of it. This was frustrating. Cam Skattebo, as you know by now, and if you are under a rock, well, let me inform you. Cam Skattebo is not going to New York for the Heisman Trophy award. He was not selected in the top 4, which kind of a weird number. Normally, you kind of see 5 guys. 3 is a really low total. 4 is right in the middle, but you just don't really see 4 guys. Why didn't you do 5? Why couldn't you just throw Cam Skattebo in there? So frustrating. Your finalists, in case you missed them, are going to be running back Ashton Jeanty from Boise State, two-way player Travis Hunter from Colorado, the current odds favorite to win the award, and quarterbacks Dillon Gabriel from Oregon and Cam Ward from Miami. Now, we've talked all year long. This is a 2-person race. It's between Travis Hunter and it's between Ashton Jeanty. First of all, I've said this before. I want to reiterate. We need to celebrate the fact that the Heisman Trophy is not going to a quarterback this year, and that your top 2 finalists, not your number 1 guy, your top 2 finalists do not play the quarterback position. The Heisman Trophy has been under fire for many years now as kind of turning into a quarterback award, the same way that we have seen the NFL MVP turn into a quarterback award as well. Very rarely is the Heisman Trophy handed out to non-quarterbacks anymore. And you can understand it. Quarterback's the most important position on the field. There have been some stellar performances last year from quarterback. Last year, in my opinion, the top 2 finalists should have been Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix Jr. Daniels won the award. Penix led his team with surreal stats at Washington to the national championship game. Prior to that, you've seen Joe Burrow win the award. You've seen, oh my goodness, of course, now I'm drawing blanks. Devontae Smith, wide receiver, won the award a handful of years ago. That was really cool to see. But more often than not, this is a quarterback-driven award. So to see not just the eventual winner, but your top 2 finalists to not be quarterback is a really big deal. Now, the problem is they still had to include their quarterback bias, which is why Dillon Gabriel and Cam Ward are going to New York. Couple of things. One, why are those the quarterbacks you chose? Like Cam Ward, I kind of get because he was really in the thick of the running for the majority of the year, but Miami dropped off big time this year. And I know that wasn't a Cam Ward problem. That was definitely a defensive problem and their inability to stop anybody, which placed Ward into situations where he has to play hero ball, which he did a really good job doing that, but he also was prone to mistakes, which is why Miami was not able to seal the deal and go to the ACC title game. Dillon Gabriel at Oregon, phenomenal phenomenal football player. Did a lot of great things this year with a ridiculous cast of weapons. I mean, he was playing with, 3 future NFL receivers this year with, oh God, what are their names? Evan Stewart, Tez Johnson, and is it Isaiah Holden? I know the guy's last name is Holden. My apologies if I didn't get your first name. He's got NFL running backs. He's got NFL tight ends. He's got an NFL offensive line. And he was phenomenal. But why is that the second quarterback you chose? I would have preferred Shedeur Sanders. Like that to me made more sense for him to be a finalist instead of Gabriel. But, Gabriel is on the only undefeated team in the country through the regular season. Makes sense. Cam Skattebo was better at running back than Ward and Gabriel were at quarterback. That is my problem. You should not be awarding these guys the chance to go to New York simply because of the position they play, as well as adding on the teams they play for. Gabriel, great season. He definitely is going to New York. At least a big portion. Let me specify. A big portion of why he's going to New York is because he plays for Oregon. Same with Cam Ward. He plays for the U. That is a big-time brand. They want the Miami storyline to catch up and then eventually down the road start promoting Miami for their narratives. It makes sense why those two are going, but those were not the right choices, in my opinion, and Cam Skattebo deserved it more than them. Now, the good news is that they did get Cam Skattebo on the first team All-American list, which they nailed that. There was no reason that he shouldn't have been first team All-American. He also should have been a finalist for the Doak Walker Award, which he was not, but that's neither here nor there. We've talked about that previously. I don't want to spend too much more time on that. Not going to New York for the Heisman is one thing. Not being added to the Doak Walker Award finalist is another thing as well. But first team All-American, that's a really, really big deal. In fact, I could not be any happier that Skattebo was given the first team All-American honor. That is, in my opinion, when you look at sports, pro, college, whatever, and you talk about those all-conference, all-league, all-American teams, those are as important to me as any other major awards that you have. Those are massive, whether it's all pros in the NFL or all NBA in the NBA, or your first team all defense and gold gloves and stuff like that for Major League Baseball. Like those matter as much to me as major awards do, like offensive player, defensive player of the year, MVP, stuff like that. So seeing Skattebo get the first team All-American, thrilled. My question I want to pose to you guys, is all forgiven because he was first team All-American? And here's my argument. He was not going to win Doak Walker because of Ashton Jeanty. He was not going to win the Heisman Trophy because of Jeanty and Hunter. It would have just been the honor of being on those lists. He was never going to win either award. Even if he had played the extra game against UCF to give him 13 games, which would have easily propelled him over 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns prior to the Big 12 championship game, his numbers would have been unbelievable, right? He still was not going to win the awards. The best case scenario is he finished second place in both the Heisman and in the Doak Walker Award. That was best case scenario. But he always had a chance to be an All-American. 2 guys were selected. Ashton Jeanty obviously was the first one. But despite not finishing first place on the Doak Walker Award, he still received the second All-American. Just weird altogether. But nonetheless, the question I pose to you is all forgiven. I am more on board with that than I am still being petty and holding a grudge. I'm going to for a while because there's just no reason he shouldn't have gone to New York. If we're just totally honest, you can be biased or you can be objective. He should have gone to New York. ASU fans are not the only ones who are claiming that. That should give you some solace. But the first team All-American, that's a huge deal. And I wish and I hope that ASU fans are spending way more time focusing on that and celebrating that than they are upset that he would have been a runner-up for the Doak Walker and the Heisman Trophy Award. Again, he was never winning those. Right, wrong, or indifferent, he was never winning them. But he did get first-team All-American. Is all forgiven. Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at Richie Bradshaw 36, podcast at @LO_Sun Devils. Speaking of awards, the AP Press, or is it Associated Press? Whatever. AP released their all Big 12 awards, including Coach of the Year. That was a really big deal, especially because it was unanimous first team and second team. Coming up next, we're gonna discuss those and why ASU should be really happy about how that turned out. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to talk to you about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time it's just the place to go when you're trying to get tickets to see your favorite team play live and you're trying to get a good deal on that. Let me introduce you to Game Time Picks. This is their curation process, and it's going to show you incredible deals and only incredible deals on great seats, and you're not going to have to waste your time just going through thousands of tickets. It makes it easier to save, not just on sports, your comedy events, concerts, theater events, and more. They've got an all-in pricing feature that will show you the total upfront, and that way you're not fooled and spooked by the final price at the end. There's no hidden fees this way. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. You're going to see and understand what to expect when you arrive this way. The best part about Game Time, to me, it's not even close. Their lowest price guarantee. Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less on any other competing app. You also have their Game Time ticket coverage, which is among the best, if not the best. You know what? No, it is the best. Come on. Who are we kidding here? In the ticketing industry, they're going to take care of you no matter what. Take care of the guesswork. Just get it out of here. Buy your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day, and a shout out my everydayers who are here every day. The AP has released their all Big 12 awards, and this was another good turnout for ASU. The biggest deal, without question, was Kenny Dillingham being awarded the Coach of the Year for the Big 12. He got it from the Big 12 itself, and now he is getting it from the AP. But not just is he receiving it from the AP, he is a unanimous selection for the AP. Keep in mind, he was not unanimous in the actual Big 12 itself. And you can understand why. There was great coaching performances from the Big 12 this year. None more so than Deion Sanders at Colorado and Kalani Sitake from BYU. Deion is totally transformed Colorado from cellar team and one of the most pitiful, laughable football programs in the country into a program that was in the thick of the Big 12 title race right up until the end. They're going to the Alamo Bowl this year. They're playing BYU. Think of that what you will. We saw this coming from the Pac-12. If you remember the Pac-12 teams that were going to the Big 12, so ASU, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, they were always going to be playing up against a Big 12 opponent in their bowl games based off of previously being in the Pac-12. We knew this was coming. It doesn't make it better. In fact, it's even more distasteful now than it was when we knew it was coming, because now it's a reality and it's right in front of us. Totally lame. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, Deion Sanders took a pitiful college football program, and they are now, you wouldn't call them a powerhouse, but that is a very respectable football program. As long as Deion is there, they're going to be a good football program. Kalani Sitake at BYU took a BYU team that was supposed to be in the bottom half of the league, had them 10-0, 10-0, 9-0, 9-0 to start the year. They dropped 2 games in a row, finished the year in the win column, for a double-digit win season. Again, they were supposed to be lower half of the league. To have a 9-0 start to the year with some really good wins. They took down SMU early in the year. We saw SMU go to the ACC championship game. They were able to just have collectively good wins. And some of it, like everyone jokes, like you had the voodoo magic and the black magic that helped them win some football games that maybe they shouldn't have won, but they did win them, and they made a lot out of seemingly nothing. Jake Retzlaff, who was one of the jokes of the quarterback spot going into the year, ends up being one of the better stories of the Big 12. But Kenny Dillingham always deserved it more than those guys. And we've talked about it a million times, so I don't want to waste too much time. Reader's Digest version. He restored a program that was in the middle of NCAA sanctions. They were not supposed to compete for probably 4 or 5 years. They are going to the playoff in year 2. That's pretty much the biggest reason for me. You can talk about the fact that he more than tripled his win total from a year ago, has a chance to quadruple it as an 11-2 football team. He always deserved it more, and he got it. And not only did he get it, he was unanimous. Phenomenal. Have to be thrilled about that if you are an ASU fan. First team and second team lists were also revealed as well. No big surprises here. First team included Cam Skattebo, Leif Fautanu, and Xavion Alford. Leif Fautanu, what a great year for him at center. I am curious when NFL draft really starts picking up, and it's starting to get more and more popular because we are nearing the end of the regular season in the NFL. We are nearing the end of the season period in college football. I have not seen Leif Fautanu's name pop up very much in NFL draft circles. With the honors he has, with the amount of snaps that he has played, both at ASU and previously at UNLV, and with the awards that he has collected, where is he going to be valued? This is a draftable player for me. Again, I'm not saying he's a top 100 pick. I'm not saying he's anything more than a 7th round pick, but he is a draftable football player. I would like to see his name start to get brought up more. Xavion Alford. I mentioned previously, this is one of the best stories of the Arizona State Sun Devils football team. He went 1,000 days without taking a snap due to injury and due to NCAA 2-time transfer policy that ruled him ineligible last year. And to finish first team all conference, both on the actual Big 12's awards and now the AP. He was terrific this year. He has another year of eligibility to return. I really hope he comes back and just puts on another stellar season to put the NFL on notice and, quite frankly, potentially just go down as an all-time Sun Devil. To be here 3 years, to fight tooth and nail when he was ruled ineligible, come out the second year and ball out and potentially have a third year of dominance. Second team, no surprises. Sam Levitt was the starting quarterback. Jordan Tyson, second team receiver. CJ Fite, second team defensive line. Jordan Tyson, kind of curious to me why he wasn't first team. I'm sure that their reasoning for having Travis Hunter and Tedero McMillan ahead of him, totally understandable, totally makes sense to me. I still feel like Tyson should have been in that conversation. He did get first team from the Big 12 itself. You can decide which one has more weight and value at the end of the day. Can't be too upset with it. Sam Levitt, dude, he's just phenomenal. There was a point in time, I truly don't know. Well, not even a point in time, I still believe. You can't name 10 quarterbacks in the country, not just the Big 12, the country, any level, Division II, FCS, or FBS, Power 4, G5, whatever. You can't name 10 quarterbacks that are playing better football than Sam Levitt right now. Over the last 5 games, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's doing it with Jordan Tyson. Now he's doing it without Jordan Tyson. He's phenomenal. He's got a chance to be first team for this conference next year. He's got a chance to put together a Heisman Trophy candidacy next year. Look out for this kid. CJ Fite, he's a beast. He's a monster. He's one of the better defensive tackles that the Sun Devils have had in the last several years. They've had some good ones. Rennell Wren, DJ Davidson, Deshaun Mallory, Nessa J. Silvera, guys that are in the pros. And CJ Fite is right there with the best of them. the best potential play for him is yet to come. He's a true sophomore. He has a minimum of one more year here at the program. He's a beast. He's an absolute monster. And again, the best days for him are yet to come. I'm super happy with the list that they came out with. It's not too much different from what we received from the Big 12. Couple of guys didn't get it, like Keyshawn Elliott and Ben Coleman. I understand it kind of is what it is, but the guys that did get the honors absolutely deserve them. I'm glad that the AP agreed with the Big 12 to get those guys the same awards. Rounding out the show now, we got to talk about the transfer portal. 10 guys are leaving the program, one of them with a lot of baggage at this point. I've got a handful of guys I'm interested in, some with a little bit of smoke to the program and positions that ASU should be taking a look at. That's coming up next on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Time to talk to you guys about our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, as you get ready to take on NFL action with the last month of the regular season on the line here. That's because new customers to FanDuel, if you bet $5, that's it, $5, and it wins, you will get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That can be on anything. That can be a money line. That can be a spread. It can be a team total. It can be a player prop. Speaking of player props, the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place a live bet. If you were taking a look at a game, take Thursday night's game tonight with the 49ers and the Seahawks, an example. You see player X is doing something that you really like. You want to place that live bet. Take a look at the app. You can see a box score. You can see a live play-by-play all in one place. So that hunch that you're getting, capitalize on it and make the most out of it. It's all on the same page where you're placing your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, my new customers, you will get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And one last time, wherever you get your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I appreciate all of you for making us your first listen of the day. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Transfer portal update for you guys. 10 Sun Devils have entered the portal. I got a handful of guys I'm really interested in, and here are some positions that ASU has got to keep an eye on. But we're going to talk about the 10 players that have entered the transfer portal for the Sun Devils. 3 receivers, Caleb Black, friend of the podcast, Caleb Black, Corbin Hendricks, Jamal Young II. No big surprises there. I'm bummed that Caleb is entering the portal, not just because I had a chance to sit down with him, have a conversation, get to know him better. If you would like to get to know Caleb Black better, and I encourage you do, so that you can root him on at his next stop, you can go to the Locked On Sun Devils YouTube page. We have a playlist for player interviews, and Caleb Black is on there. Corbin Hendricks was a big guy. I turned him into a superstar on College Football 25. The potential's there. Jamal Young was a backup guy for ASU. They are all going to be looking to new destinations. Tight end Marqueston Douglas, someone that we were excited about when he arrived here because he looks like an offensive lineman at, I want to say he was like 6'7", 280 pounds. Didn't really get on the field this year. Shimon Mateer was just the guy at tight end. ASU didn't really feature any other tight ends. He is in the transfer portal. I saw on 24/7 that he is seemingly, I don't know if favored is the right word, but their crystal ball has him going to Florida State, unless he has confirmed return to Florida State. I just hope that wherever he does end up, that he has that chance to get back on the field. He's just a freaky athlete. I'm bummed that ASU wasn't able to get him out, but, at the end of the day, it kind of happens sometimes. 2 defensive linemen, Kyron Borda, Jamon Tapp. Tapp transferred to ASU this past year. Just, again, not able to get on the field. Kyron Borda has been with the program for 2 years, getting developed. I wish that he would have hung around as well, but this is a deep defensive tackle room, and there are 4 guys that are currently there. They could all, or not all of them, Jeff Clark will leave, but you are still potentially returning Zach Swanson, CJ Fight, and Jacob Richcon-Geika. I understand trying to go somewhere to compete. Linebacker Xavion Thunderbird, that was another one that really bummed me out. He didn't see the field much because of the depth. He is a redshirt freshman for the team, so he will still have 3 years of eligibility wherever he ends up. in week 1 against Wyoming, when he got on the field, he was able to register his first career sack. He will be going on to new horizons. In the secondary, corner Keontae Bradley and safety Kamari Wilson will be leaving. Keontae is a redshirt freshman for the team. Another guy turned into a superstar on College Football 25, so lots of potential there. And safety Kamari Wilson. Wilson, a former 5-star, comes to ASU this past offseason. Just can't get on the field. Turns out ASU's safety room is ridiculous, and their top 3 guys, Shamari Simmons, Miles Ghost Rouser, and Xavion Alford, are all beasts. Simmons is gone next year, but the depth is still there for ASU, especially if Rouser and Alford both choose to return to the program. It's just going to be hard to get onto the field. And then you have the Laterrence, LT Welch. I don't want to call it drama, but we kind of have to call it what it is. And we're only going to be objective here. So I'm going to tell you what happened, and we're going to move on. There are no personal opinions here. When it comes to this topic, it is a very touchy topic. LT Welch is entering the transfer portal. He was someone that really carved out a role with ASU down the stretch. 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 against UCF, which was massive to ASU staying in that football game. He did not travel with the team to the Big 12 championship game. It turns out he was kicked out of the football program after trying to pawn off a teammate's watch for, I want to say, like $30,000 or something like that. Insane situation that came out of everything for ASU. He is moving on. He's a very talented football player, a former 5-star guy, someone that going into the offseason I predicted was going to be the number 1 corner on this team. And by the end of the year, he still had one of the most important roles on his defense. He is no longer with the team, as are the other 9 guys here. Moving on without Welch is going to be tough for ASU. But, you've got to make decisions that are very difficult at times. And despite how talented he is, this was just a decision that ASU needed to make we'll leave it at that. We will leave it at that. It was a very difficult situation to assess. They had to make the decision to move on. They did. Hopefully all 10 of these players will find better horizons and an opportunity to continue their careers and, hopefully make the most out of them. There's a lot of guys that are in the portal right now, a lot of guys that really have piqued my interest. None more so, obviously, than Deuce Robinson. Now, if you are not familiar with Deuce Robinson, allow me to introduce you to the former 5-star recruit out of Arizona. Yep, this is a local kid. He came out as a tight end. He goes to USC. They move him to receiver. He's a freak of nature. He's an absolute freak of nature. This is a guy at 6'4" to 6'5", 230 pounds. I would not be surprised if he ran in the 4.4s and just test out of the room for the athletic ability. He was a 2-way player coming out of high school. There was a lot of hype that he was going to be a baseball player. He had offers from Texas and Georgia, offers from everywhere. It came down to USC, Texas, Georgia. He opts to go to USC. ASU was in the thick of it. They made a really good push down the stretch. They weren't able to get him. I would love to bring him back for very obvious reasons. I mean, he's just a superstar. He is a future NFL player. Typically, you want those guys on your football team. He also would just be one of the most versatile guys for ASU, to be able to have him line up outside as that massive target, but then to move him in line to tight end as well. He wants to play tight end. At least that's what he wanted to do when he came out of high school. I would assume, unless that has completely changed, that might be something on his I guess a wish list, however you want to word it, of what he would like to do at his next location. ASU, I would love to see them make a push for him. I can't promise you they're going to, but here's me manifesting they do. I got a handful of other receivers I'm looking at as well. Micah Hudson from Texas Tech didn't get on the field, and Jonte Cook at Texas. All 3 of those guys, including Deuce Robinson, are former 5-star recruits. I imagine ASU is going to be in on them. Jonte Cook's someone that I've seen ASU have an interest in. Let's see if that continues to be the case. You've also got Noble Johnson from Clemson, a former four-star guy. I have seen that there's smoke to that fire. Keep an eye on Noble Johnson. One guy that I am throwing out, this is me personally. I haven't seen anyone else throw it out, so I'm not like claiming it as like this hot take or anything. I just think that there's some sense to be made here, and that's quarterback E.J. Warner, the son of Kurt Warner, entering the transfer portal. 1 year of eligibility, played at Brophy High School. Local kid, son of a state legend. ASU, who knows what's happening at quarterback? Jeff Sims could return. No promises he will. Trenton Bourget is out of eligibility. Incoming true freshman, Michael Butter Tolson's coming in, and you've got a handful of walk-ons that are back as well. E.J. Warner would be your number 2 quarterback right out the gate. He is a very proven guy. I don't know if he would want to come to ASU, knowing he more than likely is the backup. He is probably going to want to be a starter for his last year of college football, and he's been a starter where he's gone from Rice to Temple. Feels like a long shot, but last year you had Jeff Sims transfer to this program with the intention of being quarterback 1. It's not impossible that Warner might see the same situation. I would love to see it. Don't count on it. We're going to round it out with positions that you need to watch. Obviously, I highlighted 4 receivers and a quarterback. There's going to be more than that. Look out for the receiver spot. More than anything, ASU's losing a lot of guys. They're bringing guys in. They are going to attack that position. Noble Johnson, again, that's the guy to look out for. I am not ruling out Jonte Cook. It definitely feels like there is a lot of smoke there. Deuce Robinson, my top priority. Micah Hudson, someone who interests me. I don't think ASU is going to be in on Micah Hudson. Look for the offensive line. ASU is going to be losing guys like Emmett Bully, Maxi Yoniker, and Leif Fautanu. They've got some spots to fill. They still are returning guys that they really like. This is always a position for ASU to continue adding guys to. They've got several guys that are coming in as true freshmen. They've got several guys that they developed behind the scenes this year. Always good to have competition. I'm also highlighting as my last position here, defensive line. You're losing some of your key pass rushers like Prince Dorwa and Elijah O'Neal. You're losing Jeff Clark from the interior. You are hopefully returning guys like Clayton Smith. You're hopefully returning Jigabridge Kongaika and Zach Swanson. I'm 99% positive CJ Fight will be back. You want to have that depth along the defensive line. I could potentially see linebacker or corner. I would love to see former U of A guys, Jacob Manu and Takario Davis, end up at ASU. Leave the zeros, go to the heroes. Not counting on it. A lot of stuff going on this week, and I'm glad that we were able to catch up together. I'm going to leave you with a handful of questions, though. Starting with the top, was Cam Skattebo, is everything right now since he is first-team All-American, even though he's not getting some other major award love, I suppose. Second question I have, what did you think of the AP honors that were handed out for the Big 12? And my final question, who would you like to see ASU target in the transfer portal? Did you like the guys I mentioned? Are there guys that I should be paying attention to? Let me know in the comments. You can always hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36. The podcast is there at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get that update when we post new content. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to make us your first listen of the day. And a shout out my everydayers who are here every day. Love you guys so much. I appreciate the patience. We are feeling 100% healthy. We will be back again tomorrow. We will be back again moving forward. There's lots of stuff to talk about. Transfer portal. We have got to talk about the future of this football team. There is basketball going on, a very good basketball program, mind you, who is playing a ranked Florida team on Saturday. Make sure you tune into that. You need to treat yourself to some Josan Sannon and just some good Bobby effing Hurley basketball right now. Let me know if there's any ever content that you guys are really interested in. And also let me know what you think of this format, going with 3 different topics instead of focusing on one main overall subject. Let me know if you guys like that format, and we can always mix it up in the future. I will catch you guys tomorrow, and until the next time, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.